Oh man. Whole point is to share it on here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
What's going on, everybody? It's Jukebox Ginger back with another episode of Stardom right here at JG's Lounge. And with me today is a good friend of mine, Patrick Rippeto. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Good morning.
Thank you for tuning in this morning with us.
It's okay. Sometimes I can exist as a zombie before the world finishes rendering.
That's a great way to explain it. I feel like a zombie all the time now because I don't sleep very much.
I think once you get into your 30s, it slowly sneaks up to you until you get into like your mid 30s and you're like, oh shit, when did this happen?
Right. I'm about to be 35. I feel that already.
Yeah, I turned 36 this year. So it's like,
My wife keeps telling me you need to go see a doctor. You haven't been in a few years. No, I'm fine.
It's fine. The check engine light's on. Nothing
Yes.
is rattling. I'm just not going to worry about it because I know if I go check it out, it's going to be like $3,000.
Right. It's like going and getting an oil change. I just wanted to know how I'm doing. I didn't need you to give me this list of things that I have.
By the way, I saw that your tire's hanging off the back. Do you want us to put that back on? No, just oil.
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 So, Patrick, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man?
Yeah. Well, my name is Patrick. I am a wholesale wine guy by day, aspiring voiceover actor, actual bass player, musician, actor by night, I suppose.
That's good. Yeah. How long have you been doing bass?
I've been playing bass, I think, 13 years, 14 years now, but I've been playing guitar since I was 12.
I haven't played any instruments, man. I always wanted to learn like saxophone, but I've never actually done it.
I tried the sax whenever I was in high school, but it didn't work out. Like the reed and me were not friends, so I think I stuck to flute.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
I know a few people that did. My sister did flute. She loved it.
Yeah, it was good. It got me scholarship for a little bit before I decided music education wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, no, children. Ugh.
So how'd you go from that to voice to wanting to do voiceover work?
Well, really, like when I was at college, I was music major for a while, but then I switched over to theater, so that's where I got my degree in. And just because voice acting is acting, and just the idea of being able to be in my pajamas and get paid decent money to make funny voices seemed really great. And then also it just seemed like it jived with me. It's like one of those things I thought about it. And I was at a moment of like really intense anxiety one night, like couldn't sleep, just sitting there like miserable with my job where I was at, almost panic attack. Started thinking about voiceover because I was listening to like a VO podcast with Rob Paulson. Started thinking about doing it. I'm like, ooh, thinking about this makes me less anxious.
Right.
There's something about this that fits. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's literally how podcasting was for me. And it was more like COVID started. I wanted to do something. So comically, I searched some like apps to record my voice. And I just did a couple episodes solo. And I was like, I'm not sure if I care for this. But then somebody on Facebook, after I posted a few, little bits from it, goes, hey, would you be interested in having guests on? And I was like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So I did a couple episodes and I was hooked, man. Just being able to talk to people. And then I'd listen back to the episodes and I've tweaked it obviously over the last couple of years, but in a good way. And now it's like, man, there's actually like money in this. Like I'm not there yet, but there's some decent money in podcasting and I enjoy doing it.
So why not push it and see what can happen? I mean, podcasting is becoming, I don't think anything will ever actually truly take over radio just because of the instant accessibility. But podcasting, I think, is becoming in that level where it could be on that same tier of importance as radio, especially
Good.
I was gonna say, especially when it comes to like niche stuff, like
Mhm.
you can find a podcast about anything.
Yeah, you literally. I mean, if you go to Spotify, you can literally search something and just specifically do podcasts. It's not that difficult. And for me, it's like I didn't want a niche, but it's like you have to have a niche to be not a niche kind of thing. you know.
Right.
So with Stardom, it was more about, hey, I want to talk, but I don't want them to expect what we're talking about because with the topics that I picked for the episodes, it's like people don't know what they're talking about until it happens. So then, like a memory from 20 years ago pops up because I shared a topic, and then it goes on this conversation. So like the topics are just to keep the conversations random. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And since I knew you were wanting to do voiceover work, so for today's topic, I found a top 10 list of voice actors and their characters.
All right.
We're gonna go through them. We're gonna discuss the cartoons. We're gonna discuss the actors, if I know who they are.
That's always the thing. There's like a few of those guys that are the kings, and then others are like, wait, you voiced how many people? Who are you?
Right. This first one, actually, I mean, I know the cartoon, but I didn't know the character, the actor himself, but Justin Roiland.
Justin Roiland. Yeah. He's kind of a hot button topic nowadays.
Is it because of his character, Rick?
Partially because of his character Rick and the fact that he's, I think, been kicked off of Rick and Morty.
Really?
I need to look into it, but the dude is an absolute piece of shit from what I can hear. Like abuse, harassment, sexual harassment.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, I need to look into the alleged activities that he is kind of blacklisted himself with.
That's fair. It seems like a lot of people get caught, not a lot of people, but there are actors that get caught in their own mind that think they're hot shit.
Yeah, especially, I mean, because he pretty much you had who was the other guy that was involved? It was the community guy.
Was it the dude who was like the cocky, like blonde dude?
No, it was the dude that wrote and directed Community. It was the co-creator with Justin Roiland for Rick and Morty. I can never remember his name when I need to, but like Justin was the only guy. He was Rick and Morty, I believe. So he did that.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be curious to see what they're going to do going forward. I think he's either going to just produce the thing on his own, or they're going to have to find someone else to play Rick Sanchez.
I can't imagine that being easy. Like, there's no way that could be easy doing it solo.
No, yeah, especially on a show on that scale, like maybe like one season where you're just getting started and everything's, kind of quirky in its own shittiness.
Yeah.
But once you're actually getting into like a legitimate production, you need a team.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the level of fame, the show that the level of fame that the show is at, yeah, you definitely are going to need a solid crew to keep it going.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, what's your opinion on the show itself? Because I've only watched one episode and I couldn't get into it.
I like it and I appreciate it, but I don't think it's like this holy grail of animated comedy that some people really like get into. Like I've seen the Pickle Rick episode, the thing that everyone quotes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good episode, but I don't know if it deserves every damn meme on the internet and just a bunch of people like running around, Pickle Rick, bitch.
Yeah, no, Pickle Rick is, I mean, I've even seen like stuffed toys at Walmart.
Yeah, you can go out and buy your own Pickle Rick. I'm surprised like Vlasic, or what is it? Vlasic hasn't like co-branded like Pickle Rick pickles or something.
Oh, I'm sure it's eventually. Well, I don't know. It might have some Clausen Pickle Ricks.
Yeah. Come on down and get your Clausen Pickle Ricks. Our Pickle Rick. Get them now.
All right, next up. Jeff Bennett.
Oh yeah, Johnny
Is
Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo, baby.
When I look into these, I'm actually thinking of the voices more than the actors themselves because what made them so like infamous. Like I know Johnny's like personality is one thing, but his voice, man, is what made that character.
It's that perfect thing, like that Elvis adjacent kind of voice is just so good. And Jeff Bennett, I need to go through and see what else he's been in because I know really only Johnny Bravo, and I don't know if a lot of people would associate. I don't know if they would think Johnny Bravo. Jeff Bennett, yes.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have.
But I mean, Johnny Bravo is one of those crazy things. Like that was probably in one of my formative eras of like cartoon watching.
Oh, same here.
Like that era of Cartoon Network was so hot.
Oh, yeah, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, Ed and Eddie.
Yeah, you had all of those, and then Powerpuff Girls were in there.
Powerpuff Girls, yeah.
So
I actually
good.
watched Powerpuff Girls recently with my daughter.
Yeah, because they rebooted it, I believe.
I think it's on one of the streaming platforms, yeah.
But yeah, it's like that. Those everybody and the voice actors that came out of there, like that's a whole another thing. That's a legendary crew. I think I wanted to be Johnny Bravo growing up.
At one point,
It's like, yeah, I want to be a well-respected mama's boy who also can get it with the ladies,
right? Or at least attempt to get it with the ladies
respectfully. I mean, that's one thing with Johnny Bravo too. It's like, yeah, you can tell he wants to be a player, but he's respectful. He can take no for an answer. He doesn't like he'll be like, oh, dang it, she said no. Is my hair Johnny Bravo not good enough? Maybe Johnny Bravo's not good enough. Maybe Johnny Bravo needs to get better. I'm gonna go see my niece.
Johnny was definitely up on at least my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, it was up there. Like for the Cartoon Network era, like that Dexter's Lab. Not a real like cow. Like was Cow and Chicken in that era?
I don't think it was that era. It was a little bit like it was still like airing, but I think it was a little before that.
Okay,
era,
yeah, because I remember like Cow and Chicken and IR Baboon and that whole those got a little weird for me.
Yes, like for me, I still have like whole seasons of Ren and Stimpy, and that was I feel like before, like it's still like a little before the Johnny Bravo like Cartoon Network era. And Ren and Stimpy for me is like I watch it now and I'm like, man, that was one of my favorite shows, but this is really messed up, actually.
Yeah, that cartoon was fucked up. Like you return to that now and you just see like, especially with some of like the grotesque like zoom ins they would do, and just the content, like the jokes on there as a child, way over your head sometimes. But you come back with the twisted adult mind and you're like, how did my parents let me watch this?
Yeah. Because they weren't watching it with you, so they didn't know how bad it was.
Right. They're like, oh, you're watching that dumb show with a log. Okay.
And now it's become an issue, like this generation of kids, like that watch so much stuff on YouTube. Some of the stuff that's on there is some like it's almost like a subliminal messaging. It seems like because it like gets the kids to zone out on something that's literally pointless.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we got that programming time. Yeah, because I've fallen victim to that. Like I have to be careful with like TikTok because with my like ADHD brain, like especially if I'm bored and I don't have the motivation to do something productive at home, get on there or YouTube, and it's just kind of like, okay,
yeah, it's those algorithms, man. They just like it knows based on how long you watch something, what you search, like so it tweaks everything to what you like.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we got him. We got the file. Let's keep him hooked. Come on, baby. Oh, no, they're changing. Change the algorithm now.
My wife used to, or not used to, but when she got TikTok before I had it, she would always be like, oh, this is so good. And I'm like, that's not really, I don't really care for that. And then when I got into podcasting, I was like, I need social accounts. So I got it. And I noticed really quick, it literally tweaks itself to what your interest is.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of insidious. It's kind of great. I mean, it's
Mhm,
good that you have something tailored to you. So if you open up the thing, you know you're gonna like what's on there
mhm.
generally. But damn, how many half hours have just kind of disappeared on those apps? It's like you're like,
Oh,
I'm gonna sit down and watch a couple videos, and then you wake up, or yeah, I guess you do wake up from it, from
yeah.
like a TikTok social media haze, and you're like, what the?
Oh,
Why is it?
yeah.
Did I did I fall asleep? No, I oh.
And the one thing about TikTok is it stays going. So, like, if you fall asleep and you're on TikTok, you wake up and TikTok is still going.
Yeah, it's just there waiting for you. At least YouTube has
Right.
the kindness to pause.
Yeah. And actually, YouTube is everything is kind of going the same route as TikTok. Like Facebook's got Reels, YouTube's got Shorts, Instagram has short Reels.
I mean,
I mean, Instagram,
Snapchat does it too. Like
yeah, the stories or whatever,
it's like
or
it's kind
no,
of
something like that.
yeah, it's I forget what it is on there, but it's kind of dumb. Like one company comes up with one good idea, and everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, that we got to make sure they don't make too much money.
Right, right. And
Let's
even
get
then,
our
it's like
dollar.
not. I think the highest payout would be like YouTube. TikTok takes like 60% of whatever you make.
Woo!
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then you're getting pennies to the dollar, pennies to the pennies, really, because for a gift or whatever on TikTok, it's like 45 cents, and you get like 60% taken out of that or whatever.
Right, and I've heard Twitch does pretty good as well if you can get to the right level on it. Like, not affiliate, but the thing that's, like, 2 steps above affiliate.
Yeah, and that's even hard. Like I've tried Twitch, man. If you don't have I feel like that's more gaming generated,
Yeah.
or if you already have sort of a following that you can carry over to Twitch, that's different. But I can't. I have tried so many times. I cannot get people to watch Twitch on my.
Yeah, the only thing I think I'd use Twitch for would be, like, doing a live stream D&D game. Like, I know it's good for
Yeah.
that, um, but, like, I don't wanna spend another money in a streaming rig. Like, I have my gaming PC I just bought this year that was a lot of money, so I could
Mhm.
play Baldur's Gate 3. Uh, and then I have my Mac for work. I don't wanna have to buy, like, another, like, $1,000 graphics rig just to maybe make $5 on a gaming streaming like site.
Yeah.
It's
On a whim that you might make money.
right. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can stream me playing Pokemon on this thing. It'll be great. Here, take my money, $2,000. Oh yes, that first $5 check. Success.
You ready for the next one?
Hit me.
Alright. Tim Curry.
Ah, Nigel Thornberry.
Yes, Nigel. Oh, Nigel.
Smashing.
I was
Like,
never. I watched the Thornberries, like the Wild Thornberries, but I never was like obsessed with it.
I'm in that same boat. Like, I liked it and I appreciate it, but I also grew up in this like weird transitionary period. Like, growing up, we did not have cable.
Right.
Like, I lived out in the sticks, gravel road. We had regular antenna, dial-up internet, um, until I was in, like, I think middle school, like, late middle school, did my parents get satellite TV.
Okay. Yeah. So you were what, 14, 13, 14, somewhere around there.
Yeah, something like that. So, it was right around the time when the Wild Thornberries were on, because I remember, like, actually being able to flip through, like, Nickelodeon. It's like, "Oh, sweet, I can actually watch this stuff now."
Mhm.
Uh, but I think Cartoon Network got me more, but the Thornberries were on there and I liked it and I appreciate it. And like it was also like insane, but a little bit more controlled.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, it was more realistic in a sense. Like, I mean, yeah, you got your talking monkey, but like,
I mean,
but
that's
it's a cartoon. So,
yeah, you can suspend your disbelief for a talking monkey in a cartoon about I mean, I think the talking monkey is less insane than having a crazy middle-aged British man dragging his entire family on safari around the world.
right.
Like, you think about it in that context, like, "Oh, yes, we're gonna go into the African Sahara. We're going to go find some lions and maybe a temple. Isn't that smashing, Eliza?" Uh,
Tim Curry is an
uh,
amazing person. His act.
he yeah, he's the breadth of that man's work is absolutely insane, from being in, some top tier movies
Mm-hmm.
to being in some absolute stinkers. And he just
Right.
doesn't care. He just like, I like this role. I'm gonna do it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think there's that meme that comes around every so often on the internet where everyone's like, I'm going to judge you based on where you know Tim Curry from. So of course everyone's like, Rocky Horror Picture Show or this movie over here. I'm like, did y'all ever see McHale's Navy?
I've never seen McHale's Navy.
So it's Tim Curry plays the villain in this, and it was Arnold, Roseanne's ex-husband,
No clue.
Tom Arnold,
Okay.
movie actor and TV actor from way back in the day. But Tom Arnold starred as McHale. He's a retired Navy guy, and he owned a patrol boat that was from the Vietnam era.
Mm-hmm.
So the premise of this movie is he's living in like this island out in the Caribbean, and he's, living the retired life and all this. And then Tim Curry's evil ass character is some crazed Russian who's coming in and trying to take over these islands. And
Okay.
Mikhail has to get the crew back together, who all are also retired Navy guys on this island, to fight back Tim Curry's Russian incursion on their retirement, like relaxation islands. Like it's terrible, but for some reason I watched that movie all the time as a child, and Tim Curry was just like the perfect villain.
Tim Curry just played. I mean, have you seen Clue? Of course, I'm sure you've seen Clue.
Yes, of course.
I mean, his character in Clue is probably what hooked me. Like, I liked Rocky Horror Picture Show. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, yeah, like you said, that's where everybody just points to him at. But like, I loved his character in Clue. I loved him like rushing around like just nonstop. And he almost kind of had that. He played the act well to where you didn't know if it was him too.
Right. That's another movie I'm going to need to rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard rumors that they're going to redo it. They're going to do a remake of Clue coming up.
He did. I remember he did like an interview about the new It.
Ooh, that's right. Yeah, because that's right. That's the other big thing. He was the clown.
He was the clown in the original It as well. Yeah. And that's, again, I have respect for actors that can literally like change their personalities based on their characters as dramatically as he did. I mean, there's several of them out there, but then you have some that are, they're good. Like Bruce Willis was good, but he was always the same character, in everything he did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like you think about it, like you see that in voiceovers too, like with Patrick Warburton, who played Kronk, Joe on Family Guy.
Yeah,
he was the Tick in the first live action Tick show.
He plays so many animated characters too.
But it's that thing. It's like you don't want him to do character work. You want him to come in and do his voice as that character.
Mm-hmm. It's a voice thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Bruce Willis, I think, is like, he's that kind of actor. Sometimes you just want to see that person because they're good. Mm-hmm. They're likable. We like it like that.
Exactly. And there's so many of them too. But go ahead.
I was going to say, thinking about Tim Curry, not everything he did stuck. I was listening to some podcast with Mark Hamill, who is probably most known in the animation world as playing the Joker. And
I'm pretty sure I picked him for one of the characters today.
Well, look at that. You're welcome for that segue.
Yeah, good job.
But Tim Curry was originally slated to play the Joker in Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, really?
And it's really interesting to hear that. I think he filmed like one episode before they decided to go a different direction with it, before they brought in Mark, who was, young and fresh still. But Tim's, like, you can hear him doing the recordings are still out there, and you can hear him doing it, and it's far more sinister.
Oh, I can see that.
Like it's almost like a little unnerving. Like Mark does this really great job of balancing the Joker of being absolutely batshit insane, and also that sort of calm and collected as he's forming the joke kind of thing.
Yeah. and those were some of the best Batman episodes too, or the older ones.
Oh, Batman the Animated Series, it is one of those watershed shows that made people realize a cartoon doesn't just have to be like haha goof 'em ups.
Right.
It can be legitimate dramatic storytelling, because you think about some of that stuff that they're doing, and those stories were dark.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the that Gotham vibe is sort of dark and gloomy.
Yeah, it's all just not fun. I would not want to live in Gotham. Like that just one thing. I mean, they got a villain problem and the police can't do anything, and then you just got an angry guy in a spandex suit going around yelling and fighting everybody. It's like, okay, that maybe a vacation to Gotham could be fun, but I don't know if I want to roll the dice and live there on like, am I going to get captured by like hot plant lady, or is the cold Austrian guy going to put me in the freezer?
I mean, if it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just depends on what character is playing that role.
Right. Now, did you watch a lot of Batman as a kid?
I would like to say yes, but no. I mean, I did watch it, but like for me, I liked all the old Hulks, so the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was into the reruns of the '80s TNMT too. Like,
Uh-huh.
that was probably a big like I remember like getting all the toys as a child. Like I had the pizza van, I had
Mhm.
Shredder.
My room was literally decorated and for like 4 years, just TMNT.
Cowabunga, dude. Yeah, that was like TNT was up there, Power Rangers were up there.
Mhm.
I watched Batman because it was on like whenever I'd get home from school, it would be on
Mhm.
like I think like CBS, I think, for like the after school cartoons they would always show. Um, I need to rewatch that series like now that I'm older to see if I can really like further appreciate the storytelling that's in there. Because like sure, it's a cartoon, it's always fun, but I want to sit down with it because I know it's going to hold up because that's what everyone's told me. Now, I did try to rewatch the '90s X-Men series.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's bad.
There's a lot of them that actually you watch it back and it's like why? Why was this so popular? Why did I like it, you know?
Yeah, like the animation doesn't hold up too well.
Mhm.
The storytelling was
Mhm.
all right. The
I liked
voice
I liked I liked Courage the Cowardly Dog a lot too.
That's another one of those classic
Uh,
ones.
and Eustace Bangs was like, stupid dog, you make me look bad. You know, I can't do the voices as well as you, but you get it.
Yeah. And then Muriel. I think everyone
Muriel.
wanted Muriel to be your grandma.
She'd be the best grandma in the world. If the world was ending, Muriel would be the best one to go to.
Yeah, she'd make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the courage is a little bit of all of us.
Yeah. I mean the no talking, but like the eccentricness of like trying to alert, he had that dog character of trying to alert his owners of everything too.
Yeah, it's like, hey, the world's gonna end. There's the vampire outside. Hey,
Uh,
we need to get him. Oh shit, they're not listening to me.
she's in there baking him a pie and he's like trying to tell him,
And she's like, oh no, courage, it'll be fine. It'll be ready
uh,
in a little bit. It's like, nah, I'm not trying to get the pie. We're gonna die. I mean, I think we've all, and that's kind of an interesting with courage. It's like he's consistently being put into these situations that he's probably not meant to be. And I think we can all, that's, I think one of the reasons why Courage is such a good show and it's relatable in that way. We've all had to be put into that place where I'm in this situation. I
mhm.
don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to hope the world doesn't collapse around me as I try to piece this all together.
Yeah, yeah, and that you actually captured that really well because that's literally every episode.
Yeah. And it's
I
every
think,
time it's
eh,
Courage, like having to do the hard thing.
and they always had like this such like sinister like music, and then like the villains were always really like messed up characters, but they
Yeah.
they still like could play the episode to where it wasn't too much for a kid either.
Yeah. They definitely get that creepy vibe without being like traumatizing.
Yeah,
It's not like
definitely.
taking your kid to go see It, where they will probably have a lifelong fear of clowns.
Mhm. All right, next up,
All right.
Casey
Uh,
Kasem.
Good old Casey Kasem.
Oh, is it Kasem or Kasem? I don't
I
know.
think it's Kasem. Like at least
All right.
so that one thing he had a big part in my like early like high school life because I would fall asleep listening to Casey Kasem's Top 100.
Really?
Yeah, because he was a radio DJ for a long, long time, along with voicing Shaggy.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, because I forget what the actual like show was called, but he was always like Casey Kasem coming in. Here's Casey Kasem doing a shout out just for you. And he had this like super soothing voice as he would like talk about all the songs that are coming out on this like top 20 or top whatever. It was just very soothing. He had a very calm voice. And then he goes off and he does Shaggy and sounds like the best neurotic stoner you've ever known.
Oh, 100%, man. It's and those were those are one of the shows that I've binged several times, and I even still have to this day with my kids, is the original Scooby-Doo series.
Yeah, and I love the older ones, like the original series. And that's kind of an interesting thing thinking about it. Like all those old Hanna-Barbera shows
Yeah.
somehow hold up, even though they have the cheapest animation you've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. The animation is definitely not up to par with some of the shows that are out there, but just the show itself is just
So
very
good.
yeah, it's good. It grabs your attention. It keeps you going from the beginning. Like it starts, every episode starts out with like almost like a prequel to what the show is going to be about.
Yeah,
And then
like
it just
they
keeps
had
going.
they had that formula down pat, and they found a really killer formula,
Mhm.
which is crazy because that's kind of like Hanna-Barbera's biggest boon and biggest bane is that they had this like formulated studio process to make their cartoons. So if you think about like Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, Jetsons, um, Space Ghost, and all of those that they were doing, they were, I think they were the ones who invented like the repeating background.
Yeah.
They cut the frames down. They were doing everything to save cost and crank stuff out. Which is crazy because like if you go back, so say Flintstones was what, 60s, 70s, same with
Mhm.
Scooby-Doo. You go back 20 years into the 40s, like the pre-war 40s, you had Fleischman and those old Disney cartoons when they were using like rotoscope and all that stuff, like
Yeah.
some crazy advanced animation and crazy smooth animation,
Yeah.
but
No.
so expensive. Like having artists, like a whole team of artists to like make Snow White.
Some of those those classic Disneys, man, they go back to I think some of those classic Disney films go back to what, the 50s or even
Snow.
more.
Before that, like it was pre-World War II. I think 1930. I'd have to look it up because I think the first one was Snow White and the Seven Dwarves.
I'm pretty sure Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, like that series, is super old as well.
It's old. It's been around for a long time as well. Like I remember my mom talking about that whenever she was growing up. My mom was born in 49. So she
Right.
grew up in I would say she grew up in the 60s.
Mhm.
But it's crazy, and all of that stuff still holds up too. Like you go back and you rewatch some of those Disney Vault classics like Cinderella, Snow White. You wouldn't think it was made almost 100 years ago.
Right. Like it's crazy to think that's how old it is, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and well, actually, Disney, it's 2020. This year is Disney's 100th
Yeah, they're doing
anniversary.
the Disney 100. Yeah. We've been going around collecting all the characters from McDonald's.
Yeah, you got to get them all.
Yeah.
But
There's 31 boxes, if anybody's interested. And on the bottom, there's a number, but you only got like 2 weeks left to collect them. So we've already got all of them.
Oh, lucky, good man.
We spent 6 hours going to McDonald's all over the city just to
You
collect.
you do now. You doubled up, right?
Some of them are doubled up. We only, the idea is to keep them for my daughter, and then when she gets older, if she wants to sell them, they're already going for like $350, $400 a
Oh
set.
yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Like McDonald's toys like that, there's a crazy racket in there. Like
Yeah.
I remember getting some of that stuff. My mom was like, we're gonna get two because you're
Right.
gonna play with one, and then we're gonna tuck this one away for college.
The Beanie Babies, there's a phase where that was like all over McDonald's.
Yeah, that shit was insane. Like we went hard on Beanie Babies for that. I remember.
Yep.
And they were
My
just like
wife's mom did too.
shitty little stuffed animals, they were so cheap.
It was
Like
so
you
funny because like we've been using the McDonald's app, right? And like we'd get a Happy Meal. It was like buy one get one Happy Meal, and then we realized it was a Disney 100. So we're like, we're gonna do it. So every day you can get the buy one get one Happy Meal, and after like 3 days, I'm like, I'm not gonna keep eating Happy Meals. I don't even really like McDonald's. So how about we just buy the toys?
Yeah, because you can do that.
Yeah, and a couple of stores were like, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, there's literally a button for it. I have a receipt from the last store where they let me purchase them, and you're telling me no.
Yeah, it's because I don't want to. That's not a
They
burger.
mix- Yeah, they want the money for other stuff,
Yeah.
It's funny
Okay.
because we were looking at the sets on you can buy the sets on eBay right now, like I said, $350, $400. I was like, those are McDonald's employees that like just took one of all of them.
Yeah. You just sneak one in your pocket after each shift as you're heading home. No one's going to
yeah.
know.
Easy $350, $400. And actually, I guarantee you give it a year or two when you can't get them anymore, you can sell those sets for God knows how much.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing with Disney stuff. People will buy it. It's not like some of those toys that come out that no one really cares, but Disney stuff.
Yeah.
People get crazy.
Right. All right, next up.
Who do we got?
We've got Tom Kenny.
All right, I'm ready.
Definitely, I don't want to say iconic because yes, a lot of kids like him. The SpongeBob voice is just almost annoying how much people know it.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and I mean, SpongeBob it's a killer cartoon, and Tom Kenny is pretty phenomenal. Like, I like SpongeBob, but I was never like a huge SpongeBob fan until like a little later after it.
Right.
I think after it really aired, I kind of got into it. But with Tom, I've been a big Adventure Time fan and proponent for a long time.
Oh, is he some of the characters on Adventure Time?
He's the Ice King in Adventure Time.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so he's in there, and Adventure Time I love. It's, I think, one of, if not the best cartoon of the last probably 10 years. The writing on it is so crazy good. They deal with a lot of really complex issues, especially with like dealing in like mental health.
Yeah.
And hard conversations that you wouldn't expect. I'm trying to think what else Tom has been in. I know he's another one of those guys who's everywhere in animation. Like, you wouldn't, there's a bunch of stuff that you'd be surprised, like, oh, okay, he was in that show. Oh, even if he was like bit guy number 4.
Yeah. I was never huge on SpongeBob either. I mean, I remember like my kids now will watch it, and I'll watch some of them. And the one thing that I noticed more than anything, like I know his voice, but like watching some of the originals compared to where it's progressed now, as far as like the animation quality, has drastically changed, and that's neat to see.
Yeah, especially a show that's run that long. You can see where it's like really shoddily done hand-drawn animation to where it's jumping up into the digital space. Something that's surprisingly good that's come out of SpongeBob is SpongeBob the Musical.
Like, it's a live musical?
Yeah, Broadway musical, but SpongeBob.
It's interesting.
And it's normally, like, with my theater background, I like a lot of like normal plays, like non-singing, because I don't sing. You pay me not to sing. But so Broadway, it's kind of hit or miss. I have a few shows that I really enjoy. Like, I love Book of Mormon. I think it's an amazing show. Avenue Q is hilarious. But then there's SpongeBob that just kind of came out of nowhere, thinking, okay, this is going to be like every other Broadway crossover where it's a cash grab.
Right.
It's going to be real shitty. Like when they tried to do The Hobbit, the musical, or Lord of the Rings, the musical, like dumb stuff like that. But getting into it, watching SpongeBob, I was like, oh, this is actually legitimately good. And the actor in costume for Squidward is ridiculous. And the dude does an 8-legged tap dance.
Oh, that sounds very difficult, actually.
It's like, again, like it was super impressive. So like, I think if you ever want to do something with your daughter, get on YouTube and look for SpongeBob the Musical. And you'll have just like a fun, it's like a 90-minute little musical. It's kind of just like a live SpongeBob episode all contained in one, but with real people.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Shrek did one too. It wasn't very good though.
Yeah, that's another one. It's like, oh, it's not good. It's bad. It's real bad. Stop it, Broadway.
I can't imagine them, racking up a lot of money on that one.
It probably made enough money for the producer to be like, all right, opening week and the week after we did okay. We can close it down.
Yeah. We budgeted. We're fine. We hit budget.
At least it's not going to be like the Spider-Man musical that's a legendary dumpster fire.
Is that came out or coming out?
Came out technically. I don't think it ever actually opened. So it was Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, directed by legendary Broadway director Julie Taymor, who did The Lion King direction for that musical, which is amazing. So Julie Taymor produced and directed with music by The Edge and U2, or the Edge and Bono.
Okay.
So it's like this like crazy thing. Like Edge and Bono are making Broadway music with Julie Taymor, and we got Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I think like 4 people died.
Oh, really? During the filming?
In the production of the show, because they wouldn't get proper safety. Because you had legitimate like acrobatics, like people flipping and doing all the crazy Spider-Man stuff on stage.
Oh yeah.
I think there was like the budget on that just went complete to shit. I think someone did the math, and that show would have to sell out 8 nights a week for 50 years or something insane like that to make the money back. That's not even to turn a profit.
Oh man,
it's like $400 million gone.
Just accept your failure on that one.
Yeah, and that's what they did. Eventually, like it never, like I said, it never actually opened. It was just in previews for a long time. And then I think that the actual producers were like, you know what, we're done.
We're done. You got money coming in from all these other things. You don't need it.
Yeah. Good night. Goodbye.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
Christine Kavanagh.
Ah, yes. That's
Kavanaugh,
I think. She's one that's kind of a little bit under the radar, and I'm not super familiar with other than these 2 characters. I mean, like Chucky and Dexter, classic.
Okay. Right. And Dexter was always huge for me. I mean, I had always heard that it was a female, but until I started doing this stuff for this episode, I didn't know who it was.
Right. Yeah, and I think in Rugrats, like Chucky was great, but I think she gets overshadowed by
Angelica,
and then the actress who plays Tommy.
I don't know who that is.
Tara Strong. That's right. Tara Strong plays Tommy in Rugrats, but she's also everything. She's Miss Minutes and Loki. She was I think she was Bubbles in the Powerpuff Girls. She excuse me. She was a lot of characters in that kind of classic Cartoon Network Nickelodeon era. So I think she probably overshadowed the lovely Christine Kavanagh.
Well, and she's actually she's done a lot of acting in general. Like I don't think that I recognize her face. So I know I've seen her in movies.
I do too, and I think she may have done a lot of TV. Like her face looks like I've seen it on like some like TV thing, maybe like a medical procedural show or something like that.
Probably. That sounds accurate.
Maybe Grey's Anatomy.
That's what we talk about, like Cartoon Network. Like it would be so neat to just have been one of those iconic voices during that era on just all those shows.
That would have been crazy. Like you probably think like, yeah, I'm working a lot, man. It's crazy. We got all these awesome cartoons that are coming out and I'm getting to meet and work with all these talented people. Like, but then to be able to sit back now and be like, wow.
Yeah.
We did some stuff.
Yeah. The years and years of just episodes.
And the impact that they had on it too. Like again, keep going back to that golden era of Cartoon Network, but it was super formative to the rest of the animation world after that. Yeah. Like people, I think, come up with scripts and cartoons to try to take some of that energy that those shows were cranking out.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of the Cartoon Network era, like now, I think Boomerang still does. I think Boomerang thing still around? Like on
I
on certain cable networks?
I think so. I cut that cable many years ago whenever I
Me
realized
too.
like, oh, I just watch a lot of Netflix and YouTube, so I don't need to
Yeah,
pay $90 a month
right.
for television.
And most likely you can find the full episodes on YouTube, especially since it's been that long.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. It's easy to find, and even you can find it through less than scrupulous means.
Right. All right, next up. This is not a Cartoon Network one, but Peter Cullen.
Peter Cullen. Good old Optimus Prime.
And I'm pretty sure he's done some other voice acting, but this is like his thing.
Yeah, I mean, he did that. I know Peter Cullen. I mean, it's the voice. Like you hear Peter Cullen talk, and his normal voice is like he just sounds like a normal everyday dude. But then he drops it down.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Do you know much about his work or no?
Not a whole lot. He was in that sort of pre-90s era, like 70s and 80s animation. He did the G.I. Joe stuff. He did a lot of those. I'm sure a lot of the Saturday morning cartoons that were coming around.
Mhm.
Um, and he still works today, and I think he does a lot of like commercial stuff as well.
Mm.
I mean, with a voice like that, you would want him to pretty much narrate anything.
Yeah, I mean for voiceover, like I could see him doing a lot of the previews for movies.
Yeah. Oh, that what is it? What is his name? Don LaFontaine is
Yes.
the movie guy.
Coming soon.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Two lovers, star-crossed, but separated by a dog.
Like that would be the spot right there, just to do movie trailers.
Yeah, you get paid good money to do it too because those studios got a lot of money.
Right. And they want a good trailer to capture that,
Yeah,
that
that's
interest in wanting to watch it.
yeah, you need that thing to pull you in. It's like, how can this guy create suspense? Can you draw him in with just his voice? Yes, yes, you can. Like that's why I want to get into commercial acting so bad. Like animation and anime dubbing and all that stuff is like the dream for the fun stuff.
Mhm.
But animation's a pipe dream. There's like 25 dudes who do everything in LA. Anime doesn't pay very well,
Mhm.
but there's always brands that need commercials, and they may not be like the most creative or glorious, but I go in there, cut a 15-second spot for Hormel or something,
Yeah.
and all right, there's $2,000
Yeah, something quick.
for being like 2 hours in the studio.
Mhm. Yeah,
And maybe
yeah, it's easy money.
and then maybe if I'm lucky, I can get some residuals every time it's played.
Oh, residuals is always nice, man. I've had actors on the show from like the original Last House on the Left,
Okay.
back in the day. His name is Mark Scheffler. He's been on my show, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I just get random checks in the mail." So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, some of those checks are better than others. I think a lot of them were like you hear the joke of actors taking pictures. Here's our residual check for 5 cents.
Yeah, but there are some that get some pretty decent money, man.
Yeah.
Especially like cult classics and stuff like that that are still getting viewed.
Yeah, and then once those like movies get syndicated, like if they've aired like 100 times or something like that, like it
Mhm.
changes, or maybe that's just with television. But yeah, it's if you
Yeah.
get the right contract, you can make some cash.
It's funny. I was, Larry the Cable Guy, of course.
Yeah.
I was on TikTok, and he was talking about his Mater character, and he's like, like he was emotional about Pixar and how much he appreciated Pixar because he's like, I'm just a traveling stand-up comedian, and then my agent goes, "Hey, check this email out," and it was Pixar asking him for the Mater part. So he came in and he did his little script, and the producer was just cracking up. And then he said, "I didn't hear anything for like 8 months," and then he calls, or he has the agent call, and then she's like, "Well, actually, they liked your character so much they're rewriting it to put more Mater in there."
Nice.
That's got to
Yeah.
be great feeling.
Yeah, and I think that like I think I've heard some of those interviews and it just completely changed his life.
Hmm. And and Pixar's always been something that, like, if I ever because I did when I got out of high school, my direction was either culinary arts or anime. I wanted to go to like Full Sail and learn to do animation and get onto like Pixar or
Yeah.
something like that. That'd be fun. But now look where we work.
I know, right? Wholesale fun.
Wholesale fun. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's
We'll
all
leave it
we
at that.
that's all they need to know.
Mhm. Well, hey Patrick, man, I really appreciate you coming on today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just shooting the shit, talking about whatever pops up, and having a good time for about an hour.
Yeah. Good old
What
voiceover. I could talk days about voiceover.
I figured, and that's why, like, when we talked about you coming on yesterday, I was like, what can we talk about? I wanted it to be related to kind of what you're wanting to get into, anyways, especially because you're kind of trying to get your name out there. And
Yeah.
after these shows, I always make clips from the episode and post them on TikTok and Instagram. So it's like I wanted to kind of stay in that realm, so we can, discuss those things to kind of help promote you.
Good. Yeah, I appreciate that. There was a little bit of fear coming into it's like, okay, I know it's like a random topic. I hope
Uh-huh.
it's not like football.
Right? No, I don't do sports, politics, or religion because I don't have a voice for them. I don't know it. I don't know enough to have a conversation about it.
Right. Ah, if only it was particle physics.
Did you see that episode on particle physics? Yeah, we actually had a tailgating party. Watched the whole thing.
It was great. I love the Higgs boson.
I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. You want another beer?
Yes. Correct answer.
All right, man. Well, we both have days, a long day ahead of us, so I'm gonna let you go. I will put you want me to tag your Instagram in this just episode?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, man. I can do that, and I will send you links to everything when it's all finalized.
Beautiful.
And to everybody that's gonna watch or listen later on, we'll see you around.